Good morning, Joslyn Center Facebook Live fans. My name is Jack Newby. I'm the Executive Director of the Joslyn Center. I want to welcome you to our Interview Friday show. We will start in a few minutes with our interview, but first I want to get you up to date on some of the things that are happening here at the Joslyn Center. Actually, August 8th is National Pickleball Day, and many of you may know we have an indoor pickleball court that's great, especially during the summer. So join us here with National Pickleball Day. You can make reservations. We have open court on Fridays from 9 to 11, and that's $5 per session. And it's great exercise, and we're looking, you can look forward to building a pickleball court in our central courtyard. Also, we have coming up on November 12th, and that may seem like a long time away, but it's a yard sale. So right now we're collecting housewares and art, furniture, tools, and collectibles that we can sell at that yard sale. And you will get a tax-deductible donation receipt. So please be sure they're in sellable condition and in working order. If you need any more information about that, talk with Melanie. She's at 760-340-3220, extension 102. Also, we've applied for a community grant with the Gannett Corporation, and they're the ones that produce the Desert Sun. We're a little bit away from our goal in reaching that, so check out the Desert Sun or our charity news or our newsletter that goes out on Saturday morning to help us reach that goal. We're 80% there. Joslyn Center is also a cooling center, so we invite you to come down, relax in our lobby, find out what's going on here. You can engage in any of our courses and activities and enjoy our air conditioning and save money on your air conditioning by turning it off or adjusting your thermostat so you're not using so much electricity. And that's here at the Joslyn Center, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Coming up in our Wellness Center is our Aging Mastery Program. That's a 5-session course. It's beginning August 16th. So you want to register for that. It's talks about all of the things that we need to address as we're getting older, and that's end of life planning, which we'll be talking about in a little bit about that, healthy aging, exercise, social activity, sleep, finances. So a lot of different things, and we bring in experts in their various fields so you can get the best information for that. And finally, before we go into our interview, we have our Go for Life program, and that is an exercise program, and that is Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock, and that is with Jose, our exercise instructor, and he is great. So please join us, and that's a free class, Go for Life exercise with Jose. So today is Interview Friday, and I want to introduce Ron Smith, who is with Family Hospice Care. So Ron will be joining us, and we'll talk about a subject that some people don't want to talk about. Hi, Ron, how are you?
Good. Doing very well. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you for joining us. You know, I mentioned a little bit earlier about our Aging Mastery Program, and end of life and planning end of life is one of the subjects in that program, and hospice can be part of that planning. And so tell us, what is hospice and what isn't hospice, and why people don't feel comfortable discussing it.
Sure. That's a great question, and a lot of people are not certain as to where hospice comes into play. But hospice is typically comes into play when somebody is at the end of their life. They've been diagnosed with a disease that, if it progresses along its natural course, it could end a person's life. And so hospice is a wonderful opportunity for very good care on a wide spectrum of ways, including emotional and spiritual care, nursing care, and medical care from a doctor, social care, as well as volunteer support. And a lot of people are uncertain about hospice, but it provides that heightened comfort and care when people need it most.
And it's also a way that a person can, stay at home rather than being in a kind of sterile place or a hospital or something like that.
Absolutely. Although there are some patients who are in hospice and in a nursing home or in another type of facility, but the primary goal is for people to be at home, to be comfortable, to have familiar surroundings, and all of the care comes into the home.
And hospice care, many times we think about the patient who is in the last stages of their life. But as I understand it, hospice also provides a lot of support for the family and loved ones. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Hospice is family centered. So we are here to serve the loved ones as well as the patient. And so, of course, the patient is receiving the direct medical care. But we have chaplains like myself who will come in and provide spiritual and emotional support to the family and to any loved ones that are within that family unit. A social worker also will come in and help the family with any financial issues that may come up at the end of life, any other questions related to social services, also help with care, if the family needs resources for additional support of care, like having a caregiver come into the home. We also provide volunteer services. So a volunteer will come and support the family, sometimes through caregiver relief, sometimes by doing shopping and running errands for the family, so the family can be with their patient at home.
So tell us a little bit about you and what brought you into this work. You mentioned you were a chaplain. You are a chaplain. And what drew you to this?
Well, I have my job title officially is spiritual counselor, but it's very similar to what a chaplain does in a hospital. And so again, I provide spiritual and emotional support to our families. And I have been involved with chaplaincy for 18 years. I realized how special it is to walk with a patient and their family at the end of life and to provide comfort. It is probably the most profound time of a person's life when they are facing the possibility of the end of their own life. And it just has been the most fulfilling experience I've ever had.
Well, and I can tell from personal experience. When my mom passed away, she had hospice in the house, and it really helped us as a family. And there's educational materials that are provided that help you learn the process and what to expect, and just that having someone there that can provide that care for the family member. And we should point out that hospice really is not treatment. It is more palliative care to make a person's life as comfortable as possible while they're still here.
Absolutely. So most often a patient is referred by their physician or by a hospital, or they elect to go into hospice if they have a diagnosis. And you're exactly correct. It is not treatment. It is palliative. We are here to provide comfort, make sure the patient is comfortable. Any symptoms are palliated, and just to really improve the quality of life at the end of life.
So tell us a little bit, if someone, as I understand, a physician has to prescribe hospice care, and sometimes they'll make a referral, or someone may be looking for hospice care, be faced with that decision. How would they get in touch with Family Hospice?
A couple ways, and you touched on the first one is normally a patient's physician, normally their primary care physician, will refer a patient to hospice, and that includes to Family Hospice care. A hospital will also make the referral after they've talked with the family. And a family can also just reach out to us directly. We have our website, which is familyhospicecare.com. And we have a phone number that's available 24 hours, 7 days a week, and that is 760-674-3344.
And I'll ask you to probably repeat that in a little bit.
Sure.
Now, one of the things that you do, hospice care doesn't, or hospice and the services that you provide don't end when the patient passes away. There is continuing support for the loved ones. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So part of hospice is bereavement support. So when a person does pass, a family member passes, bereavement support is available to the family members. And so that takes a variety of forms. We have a bereavement coordinator who does make contact with the family after the passing, and will establish a relationship with possible interaction and one-on-one sessions. A lot of people find a lot of support through our bereavement groups, and we have a very popular one there at the Joslyn Center on Monday mornings. And a bereavement group is same thing as a grief support group. People have heard of that. It is a place where people who have experienced a loss of a loved one can come together, can gather, can talk and share. And there's an incredible community that develops from that, because everyone has a shared experience, which is the loss of a loved one.
And as I understand, these groups are open so people can join. There's not any particular time limit for them.
Absolutely. So our group there at Joslyn is walk-in. So a person can just walk in. The only requirement is that the loss that the person has experienced is the loss of a loved one versus any other type of loss. And we will talk with the person as they come in and just make sure they understand the dynamics of the group. There is no time limit, so the group is open as long as the person feels they need that additional support. It's a wonderful, wonderful level of support, and it is continuously available for anybody who does want to partake in the group.
And when does the group meet here at Joslyn?
It is every Monday morning. It starts at 9 o'clock. We go until 10. Sometimes we go over a little bit, depending on the size of the group. And we have a wonderful space there at the Joslyn Center where we get together. And it's consistently Monday mornings, unless, of course, the Joslyn Center might be closed due to a holiday.
Now, one of the things that I have heard is that it seems people are seeking hospice care late, whether that's because they're concerned, the family is concerned about, or they are concerned about making that decision. Have you experienced that? And what are some of the things that leads to it? And why should a family think seriously about hospice care earlier?
There is a stigma, obviously, related to hospice. Somebody goes into hospice due to that terminal diagnosis. So a lot of people who may be uncomfortable with really accepting that situation may delay moving into hospice. But what we find is hospice provides such wonderful care that it often extends the life of a patient. Not through treatment, but just by getting good care, good support, and it really helps the family move into a very critical and profound time of their life. And but yeah, you're absolutely right. People often delay. The pandemic also did create some degree of delay there too. People were not seeking medical support or hospice support, but it is definitely sooner than later is a better philosophy to follow, and we help ease the patient and their families into this next chapter of their life.
And is there a cost to a family or to a patient for hospice care?
It is normally covered by insurance and Medicare. In fact, most of our patients are on Medicare, and so So there typically is not a cost, but the admissions nurse will discuss that with the patient depending on their insurance and if or not they are on Medicare.
And the experience I had that I related to you with my mom, there are professionals that come in there, nurses that take care of the patient and help them and will answer questions for the family. So I mean, one of the things I found out, it was just very comforting knowing that my mom had that care during that period of time.
Absolutely. And there is a whole care team. As I mentioned before, the patient has a nurse who visits on a very, very consistent basis. Patient also has a doctor, our hospice physician, who oversees all the medical care. The patient also has a social worker who comes in, typically with the nurse upon the beginning of hospice care, and makes an assessment as to how best they can support the family socially, financially, help answer any financial questions, which there often are at the end of life. And as I mentioned myself, I come into a patient's home to provide spiritual and emotional support if that is desired. That is an optional aspect of hospice, but it's highly valuable. I'm a little biased about that, but I definitely feel, at that time of a patient's life, and there's a lot of emotional distress sometimes. There's also questions. And then beyond the chaplain, there's also a volunteer coordinator who will contact the family and see how they can help provide additional support through our volunteer staff.
Well, I think, what you've outlined for us really, for me, takes away some of that fear that people may have about hospice care, that it's a very supportive thing for the family to do. Something that the patient can do that can help take the burden off from their family, and it's really a gift to the family, if you will, to make that decision, as difficult as it might be.
Absolutely, and I love the fact that you've had firsthand experience and you do know the value of that. Again, hospice is there to improve the quality of life at the end of life. And it is nothing to be afraid of. There are some patients who may be discharged from hospice because their prognosis improves. So hospice is the final chapter, but is not always the final chapter in somebody's life too. And we do see patients initially improve and then stabilize in many, many cases too. But the doctor and the nurse will watch the patient closely, monitor all aspects of healthcare, and make sure, above all else, the patient is comfortable and is supported at that critical time.
So Ron, I want to thank you. Let us know if people have questions, how they can contact Family Hospice Care again.
Sure, absolutely. So our website again is familyhospicecare.com. And the easiest thing to do is to pick up the phone and they can dial 760-674-3344. And there is someone there day and night, 7 days a week, to answer any questions and help a family with that decision.
And if someone has experienced the loss of a loved one, you have a support group here at the Joslyn Center.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful group of people, and it is available Monday mornings. 9 o'clock is the start time, and a very, very, very rewarding and comforting process in the group as well.
So, and just to let people know, there are also similar groups at other senior centers, maybe closer to where they live. So they should contact them and find out when that's happening, or unless you know.
We do have other groups in the Valley. So in Palm Springs, there is a group at the Mizell Center. There is a group at the Desert Hot Springs Senior Center on Tuesdays. And then we have a group up in the high desert at the community center up in Yucca Valley. So, but I'm partial to Joslyn, and I'm partial to our group there on Mondays at the Joslyn Center too. So wonderful, wonderful group.
Well, Ron, I want to thank you for joining us this morning and giving us some very valuable and important information. It is Friday, so I hope you have a great weekend. And we appreciate the work you do, and we will see you on Monday here at the Joslyn Center.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you, Jack. Yeah.
Thank you, and you have a good weekend, and for all our listeners, you have a good weekend as well. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.